Welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into life's most intriguing questions and explore ancient wisdom in a modern world. Today, we've got a thought-provoking topic that's bound to stir some conversations. But before we jump in, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered if there's a way to navigate life's challenges with the unwavering calm and strength of a Stoic philosopher? If you're nodding in agreement, or even just a tad curious, you're in the right place. Today, we're discussing why men should be cold-hearted. And for those who've been following our journey, you know this is a natural progression from our previous video, 7 amazing Stoic strategies to handle regret. Watch that video if you haven't already. The link is in the description. It's a game changer. But now, let's dive into the heart of today's matter. Why cold-hearted might just be the warmest approach to life. So, are you ready to explore a new perspective? Imagine that you are walking on a busy street, and suddenly a stranger bumps into you, spills your coffee, and ruins your shirt. How would you react? Would you yell at him, curse him, or even punch him? Would you feel angry, frustrated, or offended? Would you let this incident ruin your day, your mood, or your self-esteem? Or would you shrug it off, apologize, or even smile? Would you feel calm, composed, or indifferent? Would you let this incident pass by without affecting your peace of mind, your happiness, or your dignity? The way you react to this situation and to any other situation in life reveals a lot about you. It reveals your character, your personality, and your philosophy. It reveals whether you are a slave or a master, a victim or a victor, a fool or a sage. It reveals whether you are a cold-hearted man or not. But what does it mean to be cold-hearted? And why should you be cold-hearted? The first way to be cold-hearted, according to Stoicism, is to be cold-hearted towards your passions. Passions are irrational and excessive emotions that disturb your peace of mind and cloud your judgment. They include anger, fear, greed, lust, envy, and pride. They make you act impulsively, recklessly, and foolishly. They make you lose sight of your goals, your values, and your principles. They make you suffer unnecessarily and cause suffering to others. But how can you be cold-hearted towards your passions? How can you avoid them, resist them, and overcome them? How can you use reason, logic, and wisdom to guide your actions, not your emotions? One of the most effective and practical Stoic practices that can help you to be cold-hearted towards your passions is the practice of self-control. Self-control is the ability to regulate your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors in accordance with your nature, your reason, and your virtue. Self-control is the ability to say no to your impulses, your temptations, and your vices. Self-control is the ability to say yes to your goals, your values, and your virtues. But how can you practice self-control? How can you strengthen your willpower, your discipline, and your endurance? How can you master yourself before you try to master anything else? One of the simplest and most powerful ways to practice self-control is to practice voluntary hardship. Voluntary hardship is the deliberate and intentional exposure to discomfort, difficulty, or deprivation for the sake of improving your character, your skills, or your performance. Voluntary hardship is the conscious and willing choice to challenge yourself, to test yourself, and to push yourself beyond your comfort zone, your limits, or your expectations. Voluntary hardship can take many forms, such as fasting, exercising, meditating, studying, working, or traveling. It can also involve abstaining from or limiting certain pleasures, such as food, drink, sex, entertainment, or social media. The purpose of voluntary hardship is not to punish yourself, to torture yourself, or to deprive yourself. The purpose of voluntary hardship is to train yourself, to improve yourself, and to prepare yourself for the inevitable hardships that life will throw at you. By practicing voluntary hardship, You will become more cold-hearted towards your passions. You will become less dependent on external things and more self-sufficient. You will become less attached to your pleasures and more content with your necessities. You will become less influenced by your emotions and more guided by your reason. You will also become more warm-hearted towards yourself and towards others. You will become more compassionate because you will understand the suffering of others. You will become more kind because you will appreciate the generosity of others. You will become more generous because you will have more to give to others. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "It is in times of security that the spirit should be preparing itself for difficult times. While fortune is bestowing favors on it, is the time for it to be strengthened against her rebuffs." The second way to be cold-hearted, according to Stoicism, is to be cold-hearted towards your opinions. Opinions are subjective and biased judgments that you form about yourself, others, and the world. They are often based on ignorance, prejudice, or misinformation. They are often influenced by your emotions, your desires, or your fears. They are often inconsistent, contradictory, or illogical. They make you arrogant, stubborn, and dogmatic. They make you close-minded, intolerant, and hostile. They make you unhappy and create conflict with others. But how can you be cold-hearted towards your opinions? How can you question them, challenge them, and change them? How can you seek the truth, the facts, and the evidence, not your preferences? But how can you be cold-hearted towards your opinions? How can you question them, challenge them, and change them? How can you seek the truth, the facts, and the evidence, not your preferences, your assumptions, or your beliefs? A practical Stoic practice that can help you to be cold-hearted towards your opinions is the practice of critical thinking. Critical thinking is the skill of analyzing, evaluating, and synthesizing information in order to form sound and valid judgments. Critical thinking is the skill of applying logic, reason, and evidence. Critical thinking is the skill of applying logic, reason, and evidence to support or refute claims, arguments, or conclusions. Critical thinking is the skill of being open-minded, curious, and skeptical in order to discover the truth, the reality, and the wisdom. Most powerful way to practice critical thinking is to practice the Socratic method. The Socratic method is a technique of asking and answering questions in order to stimulate critical thinking, expose contradictions, and reveal underlying assumptions. The Socratic method is a technique of challenging yourself and others to examine your opinions, your arguments, and your beliefs in a rigorous and logical manner. The Socratic method can take many forms, such as dialogue, debate, or inquiry. It can also involve using different types of questions, such as clarifying, probing, challenging, or hypothetical questions. The purpose of the Socratic method is not to win an argument, to prove a point, or to impose a view. By practicing the Socratic method, you will become more cold-hearted towards your opinions. You will become less attached to your opinions and more willing to change them. You will become less dogmatic about your opinions and more humble about them. You will become less hostile towards others' opinions and more respectful of them. You will also become more warm-hearted towards yourself and towards others. You will become more curious because you will want to learn more. You will become more understanding because you will see different perspectives. You will become more cooperative because you will seek common ground with others. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." The third way to be cold-hearted, according to Stoicism, is to be cold-hearted towards your possessions. Possessions are material things that you own, use, or enjoy. They include money, property, goods, and services. They are often useful, convenient, or pleasant. They are often sources of comfort, security, or pleasure. But they are also sources of attachment, dependence, and dissatisfaction. They make you greedy, covetous, and acquisitive. They make you fearful, anxious, and insecure. They make you unhappy and create problems with others. How can you use them, not abuse them? How can you appreciate them, not crave them? How can you be content with what you have, not desire what you don't have? Minimalism is the lifestyle of living with less by reducing, simplifying, or eliminating the unnecessary, the excessive, or the harmful. Minimalism is the lifestyle of living with enough by focusing on the essential, the valuable, or the beneficial. Minimalism is the lifestyle of living with gratitude by being thankful for what you have, not complaining about what you don't have. The simplest way to practice minimalism is to practice the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is a principle that states that 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes, or that 80% of the results come from 20% of the efforts. It is a principle that can help you to identify, eliminate, or reduce the 80% of your possessions that are unnecessary, excessive, or harmful, and to focus on, enhance, or increase the 20% of your possessions that are essential, valuable, or beneficial. The 80-20 rule can take many forms, such as sorting, donating, or selling your possessions. It can also involve applying different criteria, such as usefulness, frequency, or joy, to evaluate your possessions. The purpose of this rule is not to deprive yourself, to restrict yourself, or to limit yourself. The purpose of this is to free yourself, to empower yourself, and to enrich yourself with the best and the most of your possessions. By practicing the 80-20 rule, you will become more cold-hearted towards your possessions. You will become less dependent on your possessions and more self-sufficient. You will become less attached to your possessions and more content with your necessities. You will become less influenced by your possessions and more guided by your values. You will also become more warm-hearted towards yourself and towards others. You will become more generous because you will have more to give to others. You will become more joyful because you will have more to enjoy with others. You will become more grateful because you will have more to appreciate with others. As the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius said, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." The fourth and final way to be cold-hearted, according to Stoicism, is to be cold-hearted towards your problems. Problems are difficulties, challenges, or adversities that you face in your life. They include physical, mental, emotional, or social issues. They are often unavoidable, inevitable, or necessary. They are often opportunities for growth, learning, or improvement. But they are also sources of pain, suffering, or distress. The most effective Stoic practice that can help you to be cold-hearted towards your problems is the practice of reframing. Reframing is the skill of changing your perspective, your attitude, or your interpretation of a situation in order to see it in a more positive, constructive, or beneficial way. Reframing is the skill of finding the good, the opportunity, or the lesson in every problem, challenge, or adversity. Reframing is the skill of being optimistic, hopeful, and confident in every situation, no matter how bad, difficult, or painful it may seem. The dichotomy of control is a principle that states that there are two types of things in life: the things that are within your control and the things that are not. The things that are within your control are your thoughts, feelings, and actions. The things that are not within your control are everything else, such as other people, events, and circumstances. The dichotomy of control is a principle that can help you to focus on what you can control and accept what you cannot. The dichotomy of control can help you to reframe your problems by seeing them as either challenges or opportunities, depending on whether they are within your control or not. The dichotomy of control can take many forms, such as asking yourself, is this within my control or not? Or, what can I do about this? Or, what can I learn from this? It can also involve using different strategies, such as taking action, letting go, or adapting, depending on whether the problem is within your control or not. The purpose of the dichotomy of control is not to deny, ignore, or escape from your problems. The purpose of the dichotomy of control is to face, embrace, and overcome your problems by using your power, your freedom, and your wisdom. By practicing the dichotomy of control, you will become more cold-hearted towards your problems. You will become less affected by your problems and more resilient to them. You will become less reactive to your problems and more proactive about them. You will become less negative about your problems and more positive about them. You will also become more warm-hearted towards yourself and towards others. You will become more courageous because you will face your challenges. You will become more creative because you will find your opportunities. You will become more fulfilled because you will achieve your goals. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do happen, and you will go on well." These are the 4 ways to be cold-hearted, according to Stoicism. By being cold-hearted in these 4 ways, you will become a Stoic. You will become a master of your emotions, not a slave to them. You will become a victor of your life, not a victim of it. You will become a sage of your world, not a fool in it. You will become a cold-hearted man. But becoming a cold-hearted man is not easy. It requires practice, patience, and perseverance. It requires knowledge, skill, and experience. It requires guidance, support, and inspiration. And there you have it, my friends. We've delved deep into the intriguing topic of why men should consider adopting a cold-hearted approach, drawing wisdom from ancient philosophy and Stoicism. It's been an eye-opening journey, hasn't it? If you've enjoyed this discussion and found it thought-provoking, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Before we wrap up, I want to remind you, our exploration of Stoic wisdom doesn't end here. Be sure to check out our previous video on 7 amazing Stoic strategies to handle regret. It's a perfect complement to what we've discussed today. The link is right there in the description, waiting for you to click. But remember, the journey doesn't stop with this video. We're committed to bringing you fascinating insights and valuable life lessons. So, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Join our community of thinkers and seekers. Stay tuned for more philosophical explorations, wisdom, and inspiration. And as always, feel free to share your thoughts and insights in the comments. We love hearing from you and engaging in these meaningful conversations. Your perspective matters. Until next time, stay resilient, stay wise, and keep seeking the extraordinary in the ordinary. Thanks for being here. See you in the next video.